The luxurious house in General Santos City awakened with the first rays of sun streaming through the wide windows. Manny Pacquiao watched through his office window, noticing the careful movements of Rosa, his housekeeper for over 15 years. She had arrived when he was still a young, rising boxer, and had remained there even during his greatest world victories. Rosa moved through the house with the discretion of someone who knew every corner, every preference, every mood of her employer. At 58 years old, she carried on her back the weight of decades of hard work, but her eyes always sparkled with a genuine smile when she greeted the Pacquiao family. Her presence had something maternal about it, a care that went beyond contractual obligations. The world champion noticed that in recent months, Rosa seemed more tired, more reserved. Her hands, once agile in cleaning and organizing, moved with a certain slowness. He had offered several times for her to reduce her workload, but she always refused politely, insisting she was fine and that the Pacquiao family was her priority. During morning training sessions, Manny often reflected on the people around him. Rosa never asked for anything beyond her salary, never complained, never missed work. She was a constant presence, almost invisible in the house's routine, but fundamental to everything running smoothly. Her discretion was such that he barely knew her personal life. Curiosity about Rosa's life grew in the boxer's mind. He knew she lived in a simple neighborhood, that she had family, but the details remained a mystery. Rosa never spoke about her personal difficulties or joys, always maintaining a professional and reserved posture. That Tuesday morning, while preparing for another day of training, Manny made a decision that would change his perspective forever. He decided to use his next day off to get to know better who Rosa was beyond the walls of his house, not imagining the emotional impact this discovery would bring. Manny's trainer cancelled Friday's training due to a family emergency, giving the champion an unexpected free day. While his wife and children took advantage of traveling to Manila, Manny decided to put his plan to visit Rosa into action. He had discreetly obtained her address through his team's human resources department. During breakfast prepared by Rosa, Manny observed her with renewed attention. She served the dishes with her usual care, but he noticed a slight tremor in her hands as she held the tray. When she leaned over to serve coffee, he noticed she discreetly pressed her hand against her back, as if in pain. Rosa announced she would take advantage of the day to visit her family, as she did every Friday. She took her simple, worn bag, said goodbye politely, and headed to the bus stop. Manny waited a few minutes before quietly leaving home, taking only the keys to his simplest car. The journey to Rosa's house took Manny through neighborhoods he rarely visited. As he moved away from his luxury residential area, the houses became smaller, the streets narrower. It was a reminder of the reality of many Filipinos, a reality from which he had emerged, but which Rosa still lived daily. Arriving at Rosa's neighborhood, Manny parked a few houses before the address. It was a humble but organized area, where neighbors greeted each other on sidewalks and children played in the dirt streets. The sound of loud televisions and animated conversations created a community atmosphere that contrasted with the silence of his mansion. Manny walked slowly toward Rosa's house, his heart beating faster with each step. He didn't know exactly what he expected to find, but felt he was about to discover something important about the woman who had cared for his house with such dedication for so many years. Rosa's house was small and simple, with wood walls painted in faded blue and a small front garden where vegetables and some flowers grew. Manny approached carefully, not wanting to invade privacy, but curious to better understand his loyal housekeeper's life. Through the partially open window, Manny heard voices coming from inside the house. He immediately recognized Rosa's soft voice, talking to someone in low, caring tones. He decided to position himself where he could observe without being seen, moved by genuine concern he couldn't explain. What Manny saw through the window made his heart instantly tighten. Rosa was sitting beside a bed where lay a visibly sick man, his pale and thin face contrasting with the loving care in Rosa's eyes. With delicate gestures, she held a glass of water, helping him take small sips. The scene became even more touching when Manny realized Rosa divided her attention between the sick man and a small child, probably her granddaughter. The girl, about 7 years old, played quietly on the floor, clearly accustomed to the situation. Rosa alternated between caring for her ailing husband and lovingly interacting with the child. Manny watched Rosa prepare a simple meal in the small kitchen, her movements efficient despite visible fatigue. She served lunch to the family with the same dedication she showed in his house, but here there was an intimacy, a deep love that transcended professional duty. The realization hit Manny like a punch. Rosa worked tirelessly in his house not just out of financial necessity, but to support a family that depended completely on her. The sick husband, the small granddaughter, and possibly other family members counted on the salary she earned caring for the Pacquiao family. All her discretion, her unwavering dedication, gained a new dimension of personal sacrifice. Manny felt tears involuntarily welling up as he continued observing Rosa's domestic scene. He now saw the tiredness in her shoulders not just as a result of physical work, but of the emotional weight of being the sole provider for a family in crisis. Every gesture of hers was imbued with selfless love he had never perceived before. The small child approached Rosa, showing her a drawing she had made. Rosa smiled with genuine joy, hugging her granddaughter with an affection that contrasted with the constant worry in her eyes. Manny realized that even on her day off, Rosa didn't truly rest. She just exchanged one job for another, even more emotionally demanding. When Rosa got up to check her husband's medications, Manny noticed how she carefully organized the medicines, calculating doses and schedules with the same meticulousness she applied to organizing his house. The responsibility she carried was overwhelming, and her silent strength deeply impressed the world champion. Rosa's husband tried to sit up in bed, clearly struggling against weakness. Rosa rushed to help him, her movements full of experience from someone who had done this countless times. Manny saw in this moment a different Rosa, not the efficient housekeeper he knew, but a dedicated wife facing a daily battle against illness and adversity. A wave of shame and admiration washed over Manny. How many times had Rosa arrived at work carrying the weight of these worries? How many mornings had she smiled and fulfilled her tasks while her heart was broken by the situation at home? Her inner strength revealed itself greater than any opponent he had faced in the rings. Manny slowly backed away from the window, tears now flowing freely down his cheeks. The image of Rosa the caregiver, Rosa the provider, Rosa who sacrificed everything for her family, was forever engraved in his mind. He knew he could never look at her the same way again, and that he had a moral responsibility to repay all the dedication she had shown over the years. Manny remained in the car for some time, processing everything he had witnessed. Tears continued to roll as he reflected on his own privileged life in contrast to Rosa's silent struggle. Every world title, every glorious victory, had been supported by the invisible work of people like her, who kept his life organized while facing their own battles. The memory of his own poor childhood returned with full force. Manny remembered the days when his family had nothing to eat, when he sold cigarettes on the streets to help at home. Rosa was living a different version of that same struggle, but with the additional responsibility of caring for people dependent on her strength and dedication. During the drive back home, Manny was determined to act. He could no longer passively accept Rosa's situation, not after seeing the magnitude of her sacrifice. His mind worked frantically, thinking of ways to help without hurting Rosa's pride or making her feel uncomfortable. Upon arriving home, Manny went straight to his office and began making phone calls. First, he called his personal doctor, Dr. Santos, explaining the situation and asking about the best treatment options for different types of serious illnesses. He wanted to be prepared to offer the best possible medical assistance. Next, Manny contacted his accountant, instructing him to prepare a substantial bonus for Rosa, not as charity, but as recognition for years of exceptional service. He also began investigating private schools in the area, thinking about Rosa's granddaughter's education. Every action was carefully planned to preserve Rosa's dignity while alleviating her burdens. That night, Manny could barely sleep. The image of Rosa caring for her family with so much love and dedication remained vivid in his mind. He had found a new purpose beyond the rings and titles, using his privileged position to make a real difference in the life of someone who had dedicated so much to him and his family. The following Monday, Rosa arrived at work at the usual time, carrying the invisible weight of her family concerns. Manny was waiting for her in the living room, nervous about how to approach the situation without revealing he had visited her house. He had spent the weekend finalizing preparations for his surprise. Manny called Rosa for a conversation, explaining that he wanted to recognize her years of exceptional service. With delicacy, he presented her with an envelope containing a significant bonus, explaining it was long overdue recognition for her unwavering dedication. Rosa tried to refuse, but Manny insisted, saying it was the least he could do. The real surprise came when Manny mentioned having arranged a consultation with his personal doctor for someone in Rosa's family, a consultation fully paid for by him. Rosa was visibly moved, but still reluctant to accept such generosity. Manny explained he knew people who had gone through similar difficulties and wanted to help. Dr. Santos had agreed not only to examine Rosa's husband, but also to coordinate a complete treatment plan, including specialized medications and physiotherapy. Manny had insisted that all treatment be presented as part of a medical assistance program for long-term employees. Rosa's reaction was one of pure gratitude and tears. She held Manny's hands, trying to find words to express what she felt. For the first time in years of working together, the formal barrier between employer and employee momentarily dissolved, revealing the deep humanity of both. Rosa finally accepted the help, realizing that Manny was offering not out of pity, but from genuine respect and appreciation. This moment marked the beginning of a new dynamic in their relationship, based on mutual recognition and deeper understanding of the struggles each faced in their lives. In the following months, the transformation in Rosa's and her family's life was remarkable. Her husband's medical treatment, coordinated by Dr. Santos, brought significant improvements to his condition. Modern medications and regular physiotherapy had restored a quality of life the family hadn't seen in years. Rosa's granddaughter was enrolled in a private school near their home, where she received not only quality education but also nutritious meals and extracurricular activities. The girl flourished academically, and Rosa often proudly shared report cards with the Pacquiao family. Rosa returned to work with renewed energy, but Manny had insisted on reducing her hours and hiring an assistant to help her. This allowed Rosa to spend more time with family without compromising her financial independence or professional pride. The story of Manny's generosity spread discreetly within his close circle, inspiring others to observe more carefully the lives of those who served them. Several of his wealthy friends began implementing similar changes in how they treated their domestic workers. Manny discovered that his gestures had created a positive cycle. Rosa, more rested and less worried, became even more efficient in her work. Her gratitude translated into even greater care for the Pacquiao family, creating a more harmonious home environment for everyone. The relationship between Manny and Rosa evolved into something that transcended the employer-employee relationship. They had developed deep mutual respect, based on understanding that true greatness comes not just from personal achievements, but from the ability to lift those around us. A year after that transformative day off, Manny reflected on how a simple decision to visit Rosa had changed his perspective on success and responsibility. He had learned that being a true champion meant winning not just in the rings, but also in real life, through acts of kindness and recognition. Rosa continued working for the Pacquiao family, but now as part of an extended family. Her husband had recovered enough to help with light household tasks, and her granddaughter was among the best students in her class. The family's dignity had been not just preserved, but strengthened. Manny established a discreet fund to help other employees in similar situations, inspired by Rosa's example. He understood that his fame and fortune carried the responsibility to make a difference in the lives of those who contributed to his success, even invisibly. The experience taught Manny that true champions are those who use their strength to lift others, who recognize the value of each person regardless of their social position. Rosa had been his silent champion for years, and now he repaid that championship through concrete actions. Rosa never knew that Manny had visited her house that day off, but she felt the change in how she was seen and treated. Her life had been transformed not by luck or charity, but by recognition of her value as a human being and dedicated professional. The tears Manny shed that day were not just of sadness for Rosa's situation, but of deep understanding about what really matters in life. They marked the moment when a world champion discovered a new form of victory, one measured not by titles won, but by lives positively impacted through kindness and genuine recognition of each person's worth. If you like this kind of story, leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next videos.